Ciao Juventini of the world, my name is Giuseppe, welcome back on the channel. It is match day, Juventus against Lecce, with both teams that will anticipate all the other ones for one simple reason. We are kicking off match day 6 in Serie A on Tuesday, today. We'll speak in today's video about the surprise Lecce, the Giallorossi that are doing fantastically well. We speak about how Juventus, the Bianconeri, are arriving to the game of 8:45 p.m. Italian time, with the Bianconeri that needs to show a reaction after that humiliation loss against Sassuolo on Saturday 4-2, and all the individual mistakes. Who are the boys that Max Allegri will choose? Well, we'll go with the predicted lineups and then a topic that I'm sure you will be interested in because you're all asking me to speak about it, Curva Sud, that will not be in our home this evening to support our boys. If you didn't yet, please put a maximum of likes. Yes, more than yesterday. We didn't even achieve 300, which is super low. And I can understand it when our team is doing bad. There is probably a bit less interest. But that's the moment to continue to subscribe to the channel, to continue to put a maximum of like. I'm really counting on you. Are you ready? Because now we start with Juventus Lecce, with the surprise Lecce. Because it will be the 35th time that we are playing against Lecce in Serie A. And for the very first time in history, Lecce will play against Juve, being above them in the ranking of Serie A. Inter, full points, 15 on 15. Milan, 12 points on 15, with that huge loss against Inter, 5-1. And then third, big surprise, Lecce with 11. 3 wins, 2 draws. Juventus is behind with 10 points together with Fiorentina. It's the first time in history. Is it a surprise? Absolutely yes. I predicted before the kickoff of match day 1 that Lecce would be one of, if not the surprise of Serie A 23-24, but I was not even thinking that it was possible that after match day 5 they were still unbeaten, next to Inter, that is the second team unbeaten so far in Serie A. Lecce that won against Lazio 2-1 in the first game of Serie A, second game 2-2 against Fiorentina that just came from a 4-1 victory over Genoa. They beat Salernitana 2-0, drawing 1-1 against Monza, for the last game against Genoa, beating Genoa 1-0. Ragazzi, they are in form, they have absolutely nothing to lose. It's a dangerous team and we'll come back on that. Milik and Chiesa, we see on Corriere dello Sport, la Juve ci riprova contro il Lecce. Juventus is trying again against Lecce. They are obliged to try again. It was already a kind of match point against Sassuolo to be momentarily, for one night, first in Serie A. We failed, and how did we fail? Today it's not anymore to be first in Serie A, because even winning you can't, but today we have to revenge that game of Sassuolo. We have to do it, and there will be some changes in the formation, because we also have to pay attention that we are playing not even 72 hours later than the game against Sassuolo, and there is Atalanta that is waiting for us. Who are the men that can play this evening? Predicted lineup by Tuttosport and Gazzetta are the same. Szczesny in the goal. Do I agree with that? That has been confirmed by Max Allegri. Do I agree with that choice? Absolutely yes. For a simple reason. Goalkeeper is a really particular role. It's not like a field player that has opportunity to enter in a moment of the game. No, goalkeeper is a goalkeeper. It's something super important. You have hierarchies. You have a number 1, and then you have the number 2, then you have the number 3, and it's the number 1 that is playing. If a number 1 is doing a crazy evening like last time, with a lot of individual mistakes, psychological level is better, or is more important than the rest. Because a goalkeeper can't forget how to be a goalkeeper in one evening. But here, mentally, keeping a goalkeeper away is a total disaster, because you're isolating him even more, keeping to be in that negative cycle of doubt. So you have to play him. It's a bit like horses or motorcycles, you know it, when you're falling, when you're training, when you're doing the horse or the motorcycle in the beginning, when you are trying to learn it, when you fall for the first time, the best tip ever is to go back as soon as possible on the horse or a motorcycle, because if you don't do it immediately, the fear will enter you and it will be a total disaster. Probably you will never do any more motorcycle or horses. So that's the best tip that we can do. I agree with Szczesny into the goal, but then you have the other ones. Well, Gatti could probably rest for Rugani, first game in Serie A in 23-24, according to Gazzetta, on the left with Danilo on the right. According to Tosport, Rugani on the right with Danilo on the left, with Bremer central defender. Then on top, you have Chiesa and Milik. If yesterday evening, after the press conference of Max Allegri, we were all thinking that it could have been the rest of Federico Chiesa, it will be Vlahovic. Why? Because it has been reported that Vlahovic has a lombalgia, low back pain. He's suffering from it, and we want to conserve him. We want to rest him because that big game against Atalanta on Saturday or Sunday, I don't remember. Anyway, this weekend. In the middle of the field, changes Cambiaso, because we know it. We were all asking for it. We want to see Cambiaso again from minute 1, and that could be the change that will be there, with McKennie keeping his spot on the right side of the field. Rabiot, Locatelli and Fagioli in the middle. If we are going to Gazzetta dello Sport, well, Max is counting on some men. He's counting on the anger to win again, to go back to victory. Words used by Max Allegri after the first question yesterday in press conference, counting on them and counting on some leaders. If yesterday Romeo Agresti asked, who are the leaders of the team? Are we lacking some leaders? Well, Max said, Danilo, the captain, Szczesny, Alexandro, even if he's injured, and we also have a fourth one. We have, I don't remember who he said, Rabiot, maybe Rabiot. Well, these players, are we convinced or not that these are the leaders of Juventus? Well, yes and no. Of course, it's not the same leaders as in the past, but the certainty is at the moment, after that game against Sassuolo, Szczesny will have to show immediately that he's really a leader of the defense as a goalkeeper, because the performance was really a disaster. Danilo, as a captain, will have to raise up his voice, will have to give again serenity in a team, especially if, and I hope it doesn't happen, we concede the first goal. Tranquilli, like he tried to do with Szczesny when we conceded that first goal against Sassuolo, but it was not enough. So we'll have to find other words on the field to motivate the guys, and then a Rabiot that we are all hoping that he can be again a leader on the pitch like he was last year, because at the moment, after 5 games and 1 goal, we didn't see yet the real Frenchman, the one that we were used to see last season, and we are all hoping for that. If the wake-up call is not coming from them, well, hopefully we can see the wake-up call coming from another guy, Niccolò Fagioli. Why am I speaking about him? Because according to me, he did against Sassuolo, even if it was a disaster evening, his best 45 minutes of the season so far, after recuperating to a shoulder injury. Well, Niccolò Fagioli, we all remember that his career at Juve started not with the youth team, not in the tournée, it started against Lecce. After an initial start of the season that was not really beautiful because he didn't receive a lot of opportunities, probably he was not ready, he entered in that second half of a difficult game against the Giallorossi, and a goal alla Del Piero, his first one with Juventus in Serie A, is unlocking the game at the 73rd minute, giving us also the victory, and also for him individually, letting him enter that starting role where it didn't go out anymore from until the end of the season. Well, Fagioli could today start again his season and probably also waking up Juventus. I told you to pay attention to Lecce. I will tell you why before going to the Curva Ultra topic that is, I know, really sensible and you're waiting for. Well, pay attention to Lecce. I told you that it's a surprise, but how are they playing? They use a lot the wings, especially that left wing. And pay attention to that left wing that has put us a lot in difficulty against Sassuolo, with Mateus Enrique, with Vigna, with Loriente. They are not really taking shots and attempts from the distance, but they are really loving to take part of the wings, to enter, to dribble their men, to go in one-on-one, fast velocity, and then trying to cross. So really pay attention, because they are entering with a lot of players in the box. Pay attention, because we suffered a lot there, and that's why I will not be surprised to see Weston McKennie again starting that game on the right side of the field, and maybe also with the Danilo or with the Rugani, that are 2 more defensive players than, for example, a Federico Gatti. The other thing that we have to pay attention for, it's the pressing of Lecce, because Lecce is a team that when they are pressing with a super organized and structured team. They go back immediately in a 4-4-2, going up and trying to break all the possible lines. If we know that Juventus this season is trying to build a bit more from the back, but a lot of time we are doing mistakes. Do you remember that Bremer pass against Lazio? Luckily we won. But do you remember that game? Do you remember all the mistakes that we did against Sassuolo when we tried to build from the back? And the last one Szczesny, two gatti, well, Juventus will have to be really intelligent and smart in finding available players, because otherwise it could be that with that pressing there are no solutions and we start again with these long balls that I don't want to see this evening. And the third danger is a player, Almqvist, the real soul and great player of Lecce for the beginning of the season, a player that, like Di Maria, like Dybala, not the same qualities, attenzione, but like them, loves to go on the right side of the field and enter on his strong foot, the left one. So pay attention to that one, because he can really invent the magic. Now that we spoke about all of that, we go in the last topic, Curva Sud, that will not be present this evening in our stadium to support the guys. You will tell me, Beppe, what are you speaking about? Against Lazio, there was a big communication from them that they will be present, and one game after they will not be there, especially because it worked after Bologna. That was super silent, and probably the guys missed that ultra boost, that extra boost that is coming from the 12th man, and we drew. We were not able to win. Against Lazio, probably we offered the best possible performance, also supported by a fantastic stadium, without drums, without flags, without banners. But we were able to support our guys. And 1 week later, or actually 2 weeks later, we disappear again. Why, Beppe? Well, when you are reading the communication, the new communication of the Ultra, they are saying that after the incredible participation against Lazio that we all saw from Curva Bianconera and so on, we will not be there against Lecce, but we will be back exceptionally against Torino, because it's a derby, because it's an important game, because it's crucial to show our support to the boys, but not in the other games. Ragazzi, maybe they don't understand it, and I will give my opinion about Curva Sud, but here I stop before continuing. Why is derby more important than the game of Lecce? In an unusual situation, I will even agree, derby is derby. It's the same city, it's the rivalry, we have to win against the Granati, the Granata team, and not against Lecce, which should be fingers in the nose. But in the situation that we are in today, with Lecce being above Juventus, with Juventus coming from that Sassuolo humiliation, probably today was an important game to be as well in the stadium. We are leaving them alone, our boys. We are giving again a silent atmosphere, and probably after the, and hopefully not, but if we concede a goal, well, the stadium that is not organized, that is not there to support a team like the Ultra did after the loss against Sassuolo, continuing to chant and to support our boys, well, we know it. Casual fans are not organized enough to continue to cheer, and we will hear the first whistles, the first boos, and that's absolutely not acceptable. We continue. Why? The reason why they are not there, because they said that after the game of Lazio, probably after speaking with the club, nothing has changed for them. No banners, no flags, no drums, no megaphones are allowed in the stadium, and like this it is really impossible to continue. On that one, I don't agree. Yes, it's better to have these megaphones. It's fantastic. I love the atmosphere, the ambiance, the hot stadium. I really love it. I live for this. I will go on Thursday in Brussels for Derby, RWDM against Union Saint-Gilloise, and they are on fire. It is just epic and fantastic, because really it motivates the team, but also the supporters to also participate. But that's the rule. A rule that has been set by 3 different parts, consequence, and I don't want to go into history, why and the origins, but you know that you have the Ultra, you have the club, and then you have an external office, that is La Digos, that is not working for Juventus, but they are working actually to have the security. The reason why they are pissed off, the Ultra, is because the other supporters, the other tifosi, they are allowed to go in whatever stadium of Italy, and they can use drums, flags, megaphones, while Juventus supporters are the only one that can't do it. Okay, so of course, Juventus has nothing to say about that. They probably spoke some years ago with La Digos, they took some agreements to increase the security level, and these are the things that has been said. Is it too harsh? Probably yes. Probably yes. Is it something that we can change at the moment? No, except if La Digos is giving their green light. And what are we doing at the Ultra in a difficult moment for Juventus? We are saying, okay, La Digos is not allowing us to support like all the other fans of the world. We will leave alone our boys on the field, which is something I totally not agree with. And that's why they decide to not go, but they will go back against Torino. They are speaking about fines that has been distributed to the fans. I want to readdress something because I read something that were absolutely not okay. I read online that apparently the fines came, that's the explanation from supporters, because there was the chant against Maurizio Sarri. Salta con noi, Maurizio Sarri, jump with us, Maurizio Sarri. Yes, there was a fine that has been distributed for that one, but it was not for the supporters. It was for the club. So because of the chants of some ultra, the club was fined. 2,000 euro, not something crazy, but still a fine. So if they are telling us some of the ultra were fined, I need to understand what is the reason behind that fine. Is it because of the chant? Is it because of something else? I need to understand, because nobody is telling us why it is. And you know it, in terms of behavior, if you are chanting, it would be totally crazy to be fined. If you're chanting normally, why should you be fined? If there are some other behaviors that are not acceptable, of course you should be fined. So this is something that I really need to understand. Why? The why Curva has been fined, or some individuals. Anyway, I don't agree. I will continue to not agree. Especially because if you read the last communication that they posted out before the game of Juve Lazio, proudly saying that they would be back, there is a sentence that was super important, saying each of us, ultras or not, is part of this show that we love, and we all can and must be protagonists by giving our contribution. Because if you love Juve, you won't remain silent in the stadium. Never. This was a fantastic message. But it's not incoherence. It's not logic that one day before Lazio, you're saying, never we will leave our boys alone. Never we will remain silent. We will always and we must give our contribution. But the game after, you are just ignoring what you just said and you just don't go to the stadium. Am I sad? Absolutely yes. Because people will believe me or not, I'm a big fan of ultra atmosphere. I'm super sad because that's not a beautiful image. But on the other side, I am a father. My son is 15. I have a lot of nephews. They're small, they're kids. I love to bring them also to the stadium. And the first thing I'm looking for is safety. And when I hear and read and see that Ultra already prepared a new song to chant against Torino, well, I'm asking myself questions. I will read you the new song against Torino. Arriva il giorno del derby a Torino. The derby day of Torino is arriving. Arriva il giorno più bello per me. The most beautiful day for me. With a scarf on the face and with the belt in a hand, I will look for you. I will search you. And you know why. It's a lifetime that you are thinking and behaving like you are the boss of the city, that in fact you are not. Dear Granata, Torino fan, you are a son of a... because your mother created you with me. Ragazzi, if I read that can be even a nice chant and so on and whatever you want to, if I hear putting a scarf on the face, with a belt in a hand and searching for you, ragazzi, what are we doing? What are we saying? Then I'm saying, you know what? It's a really sad, it hurts me, it breaks my heart, but I prefer a silent stadium than a stadium that can give me insecurity. Ajax Feyenoord. Ajax fan trying to get the game stopped as they are 3-0 down to Feyenoord today. That was this weekend. Ajax Feyenoord, one of the most hot games in the Netherlands in Eredivisie, where you see that the smoke things were on the field. They were trying to stop the game, control to the ultra and not to the club. If you're looking at the damages that they did outside the stadium, was a real disaster. If you're seeing that a few seasons ago, I think it was even last season, by throwing things on the field, Klaassen, that is now at Inter, ex-Ajax player, their own player was hit by a thing, ragazzi, then I prefer a silent stadium. If I have to be controlled by Ultra, if they are thinking more about themselves than the club, ragazzi, then we stay like that. It's a pity, eh? It's a pity. And if there is one thing that I want to blame the club, is that the club should find an alternative. They need to start with organized supporters paid by the club to enhance and to raise the voices. This is something that Juventus should really think about. If it can't be find a solution with ULTRAS because of violent behavior, because they are not happy, because their own interests are not fulfilled, then we have to solve it ourselves as soon as possible, because a silent stadium for a club that won 38 times the Scudetto, it's not acceptable. Ragazzi, if one day you want to, we can go to the origins, we can make a video about it, but let me know your opinion about all what I told you. And we see each other today, this evening, for the post-Juve Lecce game. Grazie, forza, Juve.